Hey guys, this will be our last video. I'm going to go ahead and review week 7's material and kind of review what you need to do for week 8. Remember, week 8 is your last assignment or week of work for me. The material is already posted. The video is kind of just a review kind of thing, not a big deal. You should have watched the rest of them. If you haven't, shame on you. Because it would have helped you a lot, especially those of you who are having trouble with some of the readings. I did go over all of that in each video. So for 14, it asks you about tragic heroes. It says you can go to 4.8 to review the characteristics, but we've already reviewed the characteristics a lot. Also, the characteristics are listed right there in the chart on the next page for 15. So, you didn't even have to really look that hard. It was literally right there for you. So I would say that there are probably 3 characters, depending on how you look at it, that could qualify as a tragic hero in this case. Our first, I would say, would be Antigone. Antigone seems to work just because, first of all, like Oedipus Rex, the first play in this trilogy, is named after the main character or tragic hero. So Antigone is born of a high status. She's a generally good person, but she's brought down by some choices that she makes, as well as Creon. She does have a weakness. It is her, desire to take care of her brother or her family. She does have choice to step away and not do this, and she chooses to do it anyway. She does experience misfortune that's not necessarily earned, so she does disobey Creon, but we don't see it as such a bad thing that she needs to die for it. Unlike Creon, who sees this as a death sort of offense, and he does in fact get her killed. And then we finally have some self-gained knowledge. So right before she goes to the cave, she has that moment of realization where she's kind of like, maybe this wasn't the best choice. She kind of starts rethinking some of the things she does. And then she dies at the end, which is typical of tragic heroes. Typically, they do die at the end, or they are left in ruins, which happened to her father in the previous play, and it happens to Creon in this play. That brings me to Creon, of course. Creon is also of a high status. He is currently the king. He is generally a good person, but he gets kind of caught up in his one weakness, pride about being right, and he doesn't listen to others. Kind of based on his ego. He does have the choice to make these decisions to kill or not kill whoever happened to have buried the body. He has the choice to not kill that person, but he kills them anyway. Not listening to the advice of others or the feelings of the public, which is again through that choir or chorus, excuse me. He experiences a lot of unnecessary hardship. So, for example, his son, his wife, and his daughter-in-law all die in the same day. That seems like a lot for somebody to take in one day. It's a lot of death. So we don't really see his actions as so bad that he deserves every one of his family members that he's close with to die. So it just seems a little extra, seems undeserved. And then finally, he does learn his lesson. He realized that he should have been paying attention to what others had to say, listening to experts, and not just listening to himself. So taking advice is very important. To be a smart, successful person, you need to do that. That's just generally good life advice as well. And of course, Haman. I think Haman actually fits this pretty well also. We have a lot less information about Haman, so he's kind of like my third pick. He would be my third draft pick if I had to pick a tragic hero for this text. He just has less information, but we still know he's of a high status. We generally know he's a good person, but he does choose to kill himself. He doesn't... he makes that decision. It's a weakness. He's also, very led by love, as is Antigone. He has the choice to make that decision to kill himself or not. He chooses that death over being alive anymore without Antigone. He experiences misfortune by actually seeing his potential wife actually hang herself rather than suffer. And he wasn't able to make it there in time to save her. And then we also have him kind of gaining some of that self-knowledge. He just realizes he can't really live without her, so he can't live in a world full of this injustice. So he actually chooses to die instead. Which that last little bit's kind of like a little bit of a stretch, I find. And there's no real redemption. He doesn't get a chance to redeem himself. He just kind of dies. So Haman, again, the least likely of the three, but I think Antigone and Creon both hold their own when it comes to being a tragic hero. I think the text focuses more on Creon being that tragic hero, and so does the textbook. That's why it keeps leading you towards that, as well as the chart here on the next page. So for 15, I already kind of went over how Creon is each one of these things, but where does Creon show that he's a noble person? The entire text. He's literally the king the entire text, so he's already a higher status. Where does he show that he's generally a good person, but he kind of makes a mistake? When he's not listening to advice. At first he starts, saying, oh, I'm going to listen to everybody, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do great things. And they even acknowledge, the chorus acknowledges that he does some good things at first, and then they kind of lose hope in him over time, or lose faith, excuse me. Weakness. He has a weakness, obviously, his ego or his pride. He doesn't want to allow anything to get between him and his power, per se. He keeps saying people want to just extort him for money, which isn't necessarily true. Then we have him making that choice to kill Antigone, making the choice not to listen, making the choice to, attempt to unbury Antigone. He makes a lot of choices throughout this text that he could have listened to people and made a better choice sooner. Which he doesn't. He makes all these choices far too late. Experiences, a lot of misfortune. Again, we talked about that. Both of his sons are dead. His future daughter-in-law was now dead, and so is his wife, and his wife actually blames him for the death of their children. And then we finally have the last line again as the chorus kind of acknowledging what he's learned, that he realizes that he made a lot of mistakes and he should have listened to other people who had better knowledge than he did. With that being said, that kind of wraps up what we've been talking about with Antigone over the last 8 weeks now, or moving into week 8, excuse me. So make sure you're doing those last little bits of work, guys. I didn't assign too much for the last couple of weeks just so you could make sure you get everything that you want to get in turned in. Make sure that you're checking in. So some of you I haven't heard from week 7. I'll start making phone calls very soon. And some of you I need to hear from week 8. Again, guys, the work I've been giving out has not been hard. It's not been very much. You should have been able to do a lot of this work in like 1 hour. The reading, the watching the video, the everything you should have been able to do in about an hour. Even answer the questions and get them posted. So I tried not to give you too much work because I know other teachers are kind of giving you, a little bit more than I am. But I just wanted you reading. I wanted you talking to each other. I wanted you thinking as much as possible without you getting frustrated. That's why I did the videos, to kind of tag along with each of the sections and the questions that I reviewed in the week after. It has been quite an interesting semester, guys, and I do hope I get the chance to actually teach you again for a full semester. That would be great. If you need anything, if you have any questions, please ask. And even in the future, guys, if you need help with anything, I'm always available if y'all need any help, or if you have any questions, or even if you just need to vent. I know this has been kind of a crazy time, but if you need anything, please know that I am here, as I always have been. So just kind of let me know. And remember, your grade is your Q3 grade, unless you have turned in at least 75% of that work. Quite a few of you have been turning in work regularly. I'll post how many assignments are 75%. If I assigned 20 assignments, it'll be, however many out of 20. I don't know exactly yet. I'm going to post that information for you guys a little bit later. Either later today or maybe tomorrow morning. But those grades are due by the 17th, so you need to have all your work in so I can actually do all the forms and get your grade changed if you have earned that grade change. Have a wonderful summer, guys. Be good, be safe, as much as possible, and I do dearly hope to see you in August, in the fall, back at school, in the classroom. So, hopefully to see you then. Bye, guys. Be good.